Belisarius urges Firuz to withdraw. Firuz tells the Roman to prepare his bath. He intends to be in Dara by nightfall.
Epic History TV reaction, Belisarius Part 1. Let's get right into the reaction.
532 AD. Constantinople, the greatest city in the world, is in flames. But this is no barbarian attack. Citizens of the Eastern Roman Empire are rioting, murdering state officials and setting buildings on fire.
Okay, so he's using Total War to demonstrate this. Okay. Total War. How old is this video? I wonder.
Trapped inside his own palace, Emperor Justinian fears his reign is over. He's already given in to the mob's demands and sacked his most hated officials. But now the crowds acclaim a new emperor, Hypatius. It's his wife, Empress Theodora, who'll give him the courage to act. And his most trusted general, Belisarius, to whom he'll turn to crush his enemies and save the regime.
Oh, I know a bit about Belisarius. He's an ultra giga chad general. He's one of my favorite generals. I don't know too much about him. That's why I'm going to be watching the Epic History TV Belisarius reaction. So this is going to be very good.
After centuries of imperial crisis, Justinian's reign will witness a Roman fightback that few...
Is this Mountain Blade? Is this Mountain Blade? No, this is Total War. This looks like Mountain Blade.
...who had dreamed possible. Great victories over the barbarians. The reconquest of Rome itself.
Okay, dude, look at this map. Oh, dude, ugh. Epic History never fails to disappoint with the maps. Oh, look at Carthage. Carthage. Oh, poor Carthage. Gone because of the Punic Wars. Oh, I swear, every time I watch a Roman series and I see Carthage just gone, not independent. Ugh, it aches my soul. I wish Carthage had dominated the Mediterranean Sea.
The reunification of the empire. Belisarius is the commander who will lead this onslaught. He will be remembered as Rome's last great general. Math and science are not subjects we talk about enough on Epic History TV, unless we're calculating.
I'm poor. Okay, I am poor. Alright, if you want to donate to me, donate, but I don't have any donation set up.
(527 AD). It's more than 50 years since the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Rome itself, the eternal city, is now part of an Ostrogothic kingdom of Italy.
The Germans! The Germans!
But though Rome may have fallen, the empire endures. The Eastern Roman Empire remains a force to be reckoned with. An estimated 30 million people live under the rule of the emperor in Constantinople.
Wow, 30 million? I didn't know the Eastern Roman Empire was that big. That's actually quite sizable. 30 million people is that's like Canada's population, right? No, I think that's like half of Canada's population. Wow, that's actually quite big.
His authority stretches from the ravaged Balkans to the imperial breadbasket, Egypt, the Arabian desert, to the mountains of Armenia. This Christian empire remains unrivaled in administrative sophistication, economic power, and military might. But the new emperor, Justinian, faces formidable challenges. In 527, he succeeds Justin, his uncle and adopted father, becoming the first son to succeed his father as emperor in more than a century. Justinian is from a tough peasant background in Thrace, what's now Serbia. He's highly educated, restless and driven, and sets himself two ambitious goals. First, to restore harmony in the Christian Church by ending the schism between Chalcedonian or Orthodox Christians and Miaphysites, who argue over Christ's human and divine nature. Second,
you know what I always found funny about the Roman Empire? The Romans were the ones who crucified Jesus, and then they end up becoming a Christian empire, so like hell-bent on Christianity. I always found that so ironic, like...
to reform and rationalize Roman law, the divinely sanctioned institution that distinguishes the Roman world from the barbarian. The imperial majesty should not only be adorned with arms, but also be armed with laws, so that there may be good government in times both of war and peace, he later declares. But as for any Roman emperor, the ultimate test of his legitimacy will come in war. For now, Justinian has good relations with the Vandals in North Africa and the Ostrogoths in Italy. The Balkan frontier requires constant vigilance. The successors to Attila's Hun Empire are never quiet for long.
The Huns, the people who are gonna turn into Bulgarians.
But it's in the east that Justinian faces his most immediate challenge. The Persian Sassanid Empire, a rival superpower of the Middle East. This frontier has been a battleground for centuries and witnessed its share of Roman defeats, including one emperor captured, another killed. For most of the last century, the shared menace of the Huns led to a wary coexistence.
You know what I find hilarious? I actually did a reaction to the Abbasid Caliphate, and it's funny because in that reaction, I was talking about how the Sassanids were like menaces for a while, but then the freaking Abbasids, the Islam Empire, the Umayyad, I think it was the Umayyad, came and wrecked both of them, completely wiped out the Sassanid Empire, which is just hilarious when you really and truly think about it, considering how they were like such menaces for a long time.
But it could not last. In 525, the Christian king of Iberia in the Caucasus appealed to the Romans for aid when the Persian king Kavad tried to impose Zoroastrian rituals on his country. The Romans send military aid, and the conflict escalates, with both sides launching cross-border raids. When the Romans begin building a new fort at Minduos, the Persians attack, rout the Roman troops, and destroy the building works. One of the Roman generals to escape this debacle is Flavius Belisarius. Clearly he is not blamed, because the next year Justinian makes him commander of all Roman troops in the east, though he's barely 30 years old. Belisarius and the emperor are old comrades, and come from the same humble background in Thrace. He had served in Justinian's own regiment when he was still heir to the throne. His wife Antonina is the best friend of Empress Theodora, and like her, from a dubious background in the acting profession.
So wow, I think this is like one of the few people whom I have heard about that has actually had like a humble background. They weren't like born into like riches and whatnot. Wow, that makes me like Belisarius even more. And Justinian is cool, very cool guy.
With both Roman and Persian empires mobilizing for war, the next year, 530, will see Belisarius' first major test as a commander. The troops that Belisarius commands are far removed from the famous legions with which Rome conquered its empire centuries ago. Hard lessons learned from fighting Huns and Persians have helped to forge a new Roman army. For centuries, cavalry was the neglected arm of the Roman military, a role usually outsourced to foreign auxiliaries. Now, heavy armoured cavalry known as Clibanarii and Cataphracti, armed with lance and sword, form the army's elite shock units.
Fam, how do you neglect cavalry? Cavalry is like what tanks are today of that time, the medieval world. Is this medieval period? I don't think this is. Yeah, this is medieval period, because this is Dark Ages. I think the Dark Ages started like after the fall of the Western Roman Empire. They call it the so-called Dark Ages. So yeah, this is early medieval period. But like, how do you neglect cavalry? Come on, bro. Like, cavalry is like the bread and butter of any medieval army for a very long time. So cavalry didn't really go obsolete until like what? Tanks? Yeah, until tanks and motorized vehicles came, because they were like the better version of cavalry.
Some armoured cavalry, as well as cursores, light cavalry, also carry bows. The Romans, in imitation of the Huns and Persians, are now horse archers themselves.
I was just about to say, they're copying the Mongols now. Okay, they're copying tactics. Okay.
The best units are the Bucellarii, the biscuit eaters, named after the army ration. These hand-picked soldiers form a general's personal regiment. Long service, good pay and equipment, plus a personal oath of loyalty make them his most reliable troops. Roman archers are now armed with the more powerful composite reflex bows of the Huns. And while infantry still made up around 2/3 of a Roman army, its role is more defensive, forming a secure base from which the cavalry could launch its attacks. The standard infantry unit is also smaller, called a numerus in Latin, arithmos in Greek, about regimental size, from 1,000 to 1,500 men. They're more mixed, with armoured veterans to form a fulcrum or shield wall, and more missile troops behind them to unleash a barrage of arrows, javelins and darts. Finally, Rome boosts its military strength by recruiting the very barbarians it had once despised, including Huns, Goths and Heruli.
You know, Rome was doing that since before the Western Roman Empire collapsed, I think. And this is kind of what led to the Western Roman Empire in a way collapsing, because there were so much barbarians in the Roman army that they just had such great influence that eventually that influence just led to the Western Roman Empire just collapsing. Sure, they despised them, but the Western Roman Empire, Rome in general, using barbarians for a very long time.
Those outside the empire are recruited as mercenaries. Those within serve as foederati, federates, and are usually commanded by their own officers. The military organization of the empire has also been overhauled. Two central field armies stationed on either side of the Bosphorus are commanded by a magister militum presentalis and form a strategic reserve. Field armies based in Thrace, Illyria, Armenia and the East are each commanded by a magister militum and form regional rapid reaction forces. The frontiers are held by the Limitani. These are the lowest paid and least well-equipped troops, only expected to hold their fortified outposts until reinforcements arrive. Limitani are organized into local groups, each commanded by a dux, origin of our word, duke.
Wow. Yeah, I'm noticing that a lot of these words sound similar to some words that we use today. I was thinking that, is that a coincidence, or is that like actual inspirations for the words that we use today? Very, very interesting.
Yet the thought has many times occurred to me, how many and how great are the benefits which accrue to states through history, which transmits to future generations the memory of those who have gone before, and resists the steady effort of time to bury events in oblivion. The historian Procopius is our key witness for the events of this period. He was born around 500 in the city of Caesarea in Palestine and received a first-class education. In 527, he was appointed assessor or legal advisor to Belisarius. He effectively became the general's secretary and, on occasion, aide-de-camp. Working from notes and writing in Greek, he would publish his great work, History of the Wars, in 551. Procopius's account is highly favourable to Belisarius, but there will be a sting in the tale, a scandalous secret history, which will emerge later in the tale. 530 AD.
Interesting. I'm very curious to see what that scandal is.
Kavad sends an army to capture the Roman frontier fortress at Dara. Today, the ruins of Dara lie on the Turkish-Syrian border, their scale hinting at the size of the Roman fortress that once stood here. Belisarius.
That is awesome. That is so awesome that there's still ruins that you can see. Dude, the Middle East, Mesopotamia, that region is so rich with history, bro. Mesopotamia is the richest place, in my personal opinion, with history. There is so much to uncover from Mesopotamia, bro. Like, oh my gosh. I remember I was looking at images of like cities that were just were destroyed and were lost throughout time. I was like, holy crap, that is crazy.
Belisarius is warned that 40,000 Persian troops are advancing on Dara. He can only assemble 25,000 troops to meet them. For reasons that are unclear, Belisarius decides to make his stand outside the city walls to the south. His men dig ditches to strengthen their position, with both flanks thrown forward. The infantry is placed in the center, with cavalry on both flanks. Two groups of 600 Hun mercenaries are positioned between them in support. At the rear, he places his reserve, his own Bucellari. When the huge Persian army arrives before Dara, Belisarius is ready and waiting. The first day begins with a standoff. The two generals exchange letters. Belisarius urges Firuz to withdraw to allow time for further negotiations. Firuz tells the Roman to prepare his bath. He intends to be in Dara by nightfall.
That is the funniest thing, aside from the Napoleon reaction, that I have ever. Oh, holy crap! Okay. Oh man, this is why I like learning history sometimes. It could be so hilarious.
The Persians launch one probing attack against the Roman left wing, perhaps testing their defenses. The Persians are driven off, with 7 killed. When a young Persian warrior rides between the lines and challenges any Roman to face him in single combat, his offer is accepted by Andreas. Andreas has no military training, but he's a wrestling instructor of huge strength. Before the Persian knows what's happening, Andreas has knocked him off his horse with his lance, then dismounts to finish him off, like a sacrificial animal, in the words of Procopius. Andreas later kills a second Persian challenger, to Roman cheers and the dismay of the Persians.
Bro, they're right there. Oh my gosh. The two armies are right there, and they're basically saying square up. They're literally saying square up. Come on. You know what? I low-key respect that. That's still a bit funny to me though. YouTube, please don't smite my channel, please.
The next morning, Firuz receives 10,000 reinforcements, bringing his total strength to 50,000. with odds.
Okay, yeah, that's actually concerning, but it's a 2-to-1 odd, and usually when you're attacking, you need a 3-to-1 ratio. So
Of 2-to-1 in his favor, he decides to attack. Firuz forms up his army with infantry and foot archers in the center, and his Persian heavy cavalry, the feared Savaran, on both wings. He also divides his army into two parts, a front line and a reserve line, so that fresh troops can be rotated into the fighting. He keeps a unit of immortals, the elite Persian heavy cavalry, as his personal reserve. But first, he waits. He knows the Romans usually eat in the morning and are growing hungry, while his own troops are accustomed to eating later in the day. Finally, at noon, he gives the order. The Persian army advances to within bowshot, and both armies unleash a storm of arrows. Persia is famed for the skill of its archers, but today the wind favors the Romans. When the archers run out of arrows, the Persian cavalry begins its advance. This is the moment Belisarius has prepared for. The Savaran crash into his left wing, driving the Roman horsemen back. But the Persians haven't spotted 300 Heruli horsemen hidden.
Ooh, there's always a plot twist. I swear, whenever I always watch these battles, there's always a big plot twist. I swear.
Behind a slope on the Roman left, waiting for this moment. They rush out from cover and attack the Persian cavalry from behind. Then
Always from the back. Just hit him from the back. It always works.
600 Huns fall on their flank. Under this onslaught, the Persian cavalry turns and flees, with heavy losses. Firuz switches to the other flank, attacking with his heavy cavalry, supported by the elite immortals. The Roman cavalry breaks under the pressure,
Yeah, no tricks. Yeah.
streaming back to the walls of Dara. But Belisarius has seen the threat. He recalls the Huns that are pursuing the Persian right wing and launches both Hun groups, as well as his own Bukela.
Oh no, they're about to get encircled-ish. Oh, I can see. Oh no. Oh gosh.
Against the flank and rear of the Persian attack. It's the decisive moment of the battle. The Persian left wing suddenly finds itself under attack from three sides. Those that can't escape are cut down. Sunikas, one of the Hun captains, kills a Persian standard bearer, then General Barsham himself, who commands the Persian left wing. With the elite units of the Persian army in flight, the infantry offers little resistance. Most are peasant conscripts, no match for Roman cavalry. Soon the entire Persian army is en route. Belisarius, content with his victory and unwilling to risk any last-minute reverse, halts the pursuit. Procopius tells us 8,000 Persians lay dead on the battlefield, a number that could be accurate. For on that day, the Persians had been defeated in battle by the Romans, a thing which had not happened for a long time. Belisarius has won a brilliant victory for the empire. Later that year, Sitas, Magister Militum of Armenia, wins another victory over the Persians at Satala. The war is swinging in Rome's favor. But the following year, encouraged by a Samaritan revolt in Palestine, King Kavad orders a large-scale raid along the Euphrates River. Belisarius assembles an army to meet them. But having ravaged Roman territory, the Persians are content to withdraw with their loot. Belisarius shadows them. His subordinates urge him to destroy the enemy before they escape. So, against his better judgment, he attacks the Persians on Easter Sunday at Callinicum. The battle is a disaster.
Oh no. Oh no. Come on, Belisarius. Always trust your gut instincts, Ugh, come on.
Rome's Arab allies, the Hassanids, hold the right flank. But Procopius accuses them of fleeing at the first sign of danger.
Yeah, I figured that's what happened. From the time he said Arab allies, and this is not like anything racial or anything, something that I've noticed, like learning like a lot of history, is that when you have like foreign allies, a lot of them tend to switch sides, especially in this side of the world.
Persian cavalry rolls up the entire Roman line. In desperation, the Roman infantry form a shield wall with their backs to the river. They hold off the enemy cavalry, buying time for the remains of the army to escape across the river. Callinicum is a humiliation for Rome and for Belisarius. His own role in the battle is unclear. According to Procopius, he remained with the infantry, organizing the retreat. Another source claims he was among the first to flee.
Ooh, I was asking myself, where is Belisarius? I think he was the first to flee, let's be real, folk.
It had clearly been a serious blunder to give in to pressure from his subordinates to fight an unnecessary battle. Belisarius is removed from command and recalled to Constantinople. Justinian is forced to pay a subsidy and make a compromise peace with Persia. Not with King Kavad, who dies that year, but with his 20-year-old son, Khosrow. Khosrow will prove to be the greatest of all Sasanian kings, hailed as Anushirvan, the immortal soul, and will prove a dangerous rival to the Romans. When major rioting breaks out in Constantinople the next year, Belisarius is in the capital, eager to restore his tarnished reputation. The riots have been instigated by the factions of the Hippodrome, the Greens and Blues. These are more than chariot racing fans. The factions run whole areas of the city. But first, they seek only the release of J.
Oh, that kind of reminds me of a certain place in Eastern Europe that's currently at a war right now. And the whole protest that happened in 2014. I'm not going to talk too much about that here.
Comrades. But then there are calls for a new emperor, Hypatius, nephew of Emperor Anastasius. It's likely that Justinian's rivals in the Senate are now pulling the strings. Justinian hesitates. He wonders if they should flee the capital. Then Theodora speaks up. Life as a fugitive, she declares, would be unendurable. Better the old saying, royal purple makes a noble shroud. In other words, better to go down fighting. The emperor is emboldened by Theodora's words and orders Belisarius and another general, Mundus, to crush the revolt.
You know, that is something about women. You know, women can have a big influence on men. Like throughout history, like a lot of men, like big historical events happen because women literally influence men. It's crazy to think about. I think the way, like Norway, for example, became a thing because a woman didn't want to marry one of the kingdoms that was around what's now Norway. She didn't want to marry the king of that kingdom or something like that. So my man went around just literally conquering all the kingdoms around what's Norway, and he created Norway. It's crazy. I could be wrong about that, but it's crazy. But yo, women can have a big influence on men. It's actually mad.
Belisarius's hardened troops launch a sudden attack on the rioters. There is no mercy. The streets run with blood. The final death toll is estimated at 30,000, a staggering 1 in 20 of the city's population. The next day, Justinian orders the execution of Hypatius and his brother, probably innocent pawns in somebody else's plot. Their bodies are tossed into the sea. Thanks to Theodora and Belisarius, Justinian's throne is safe, for now. A Roman emperor relied on one quality more than any other from his generals: loyalty. Belisarius has proved his beyond doubt. Now, Justinian needs to shore up support for his regime, assert his legitimacy and God's favour with a military victory. He has his costly peace with the Sassanid Empire, so he will turn west. A war to reclaim Rome's lost provinces from the barbarians will be a service to God and Justinian. Such a mission can be entrusted to only one man: Belisarius. Massive thanks.
This is gonna be a good one. All of Epic History TV stuff are great. If you want to watch more reactions, watch it right here. If you like the video, make sure to click the thumbs up. If you like my reactions, make sure you hit subscribe. Thank you for watching the video.